And welcome everybody to another edition of the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. We'll be joined by Steve Davis later on here in the program. It is almost the end of the season for football. Hard to believe that we're going to be going over brackets in soccer. And the volleyball brackets coming out, I believe it's this week as well. So a lot of stuff going on here, and we're glad to have you along this week, and we'll get you all up to date on what's going on in the world of high school sports. Ed Nunez, what we've been doing here the last few weeks, we start the program talking a little bit about the Lobos. And the Lobos coming off of a shutout loss at Fresno State. Good effort in front of a very small crowd at Dreamstyle Stadium. Almost said University Stadium, but Dreamstyle Stadium at the University of New Mexico. Colorado State, tough opponent.
Well, you'd mentioned that going into the game. Bob Davie had said that last year, that Colorado State was bigger, stronger. I got to say this, that Friday night, so I'm trying to watch you. I'm trying to watch, because I had work Thursday night. I'd work Thursday night. So I'm trying to watch you. I'm trying to watch Adam. I'm trying to watch the Lobos. I'm trying to watch the Lakers. I'm trying to watch baseball. So I got a lot of simulation going on. I'm flipping back a lot.
You'd better have been at a sports bar doing that.
I was at my wife regularly. I got to go to the other room. Because that's too much for her. Yeah. So and I'm trying to get bits and pieces of I saw your fine game, which we'll talk about later. But I saw the effort that the Lobos put forth, and we talked about it. They were going to have to run the ball, control the clock. They did some of that. Their defense came up, and I thought. The quarterback for Colorado State left some big plays on the field. Gallup was open in the first half. The wide receiver was open 3 or 4 times. And he
dropped a touchdown in the second half.
It might have been worse.
Yeah.
But you know what? I give the Lobos this and Tavaka Tuiloti going forward. And you said this. Lamar Jordan is the best option for the Lobos with that offense. But if Tavaka Tuiloti keeps playing like this, he's going to play anyway. I don't know that again, he's the passing quarterback, but I thought he showed some good edge speed. He right. did. The other thing was this: Richard McCorley is a good running back. He's the big play guy. But those fumbles have hurt. That's his 4th fumble this year. He fumbled in the 4th quarter. He didn't lose the game. I'm not saying that. It's just ball security is an issue with him. It's been an issue all year long. They had a chance. Again, they covered the onside kick, and they had a couple of plays, and Tuiloti got sacked. So, but as far as the effort, I thought we probably expected. My son asked me, Dad, what's the score? What do you got? Before the game, I said Colorado State 31-17. So the Lobos put forth a much better effort than I think any of us thought. Now, will Bob Davie say moral victories count? He won't. But I think he knows in his heart of hearts, and you know this too, you had 2 linemen out, no excuses. Right. You had 2 offensive linemen out. They played very well, and they could have won. So going forward, they got Wyoming. The path to a bowl, we keep talking about that, is 6 wins. They've got 3 to go. And Utah State and Wyoming are winnable. You wouldn't think they're going to win against Texas A&M or San Diego State. So they got to get that one last victory. And again, if it's the New Mexico Bowl, and you and I talked about this the other day, and I had a talk with Roger Holian. And so Roger says to me on Sunday, he's doing the Super Bowl with me. He said, well, we got to get to a better bowl than the New Mexico Bowl. I said, wait a minute, Roger, wait a minute. I stopped him in his tracks right there, and Roger's been a Lobo fan like me a long time. Mm-hmm. Any bowl for a program that's victory-starved is a good one.
Right.
Who do we think we are? We're not a Power 5 conference. We're not a Power 5 team. We're the New Mexico Lobos.
Right.
Bowls, how many have they been to since 1961? Maybe 6 or 7, right?
Well, they've only won a couple.
Right.
So, yeah.
So if you get into a bowl, it's still good for recruiting.
Right.
It's still a positive thing. Did we expect more? Yes, we did. We always do, right? Probably too much. But if you get into a bowl, it's still a good season.
Well, here's the problem with the University of New Mexico program right now. And a couple of years ago, well, there's a couple of things I wanted to touch upon here. A couple of years ago, they played Colorado State tough at home also, not so much on the road. They usually play them a lot softer, or Colorado State comes out more prepared, or whatever you want to say, when they're on their home field. Having said that, you've got a team in Colorado State that might have been overlooking the Lobos. And a couple of years ago, I think that's how they lost, or they won a couple of games. Boise State overlooked them and still almost won on the last play. And then they played Utah State, and Utah State left a couple of scores on the table, and those were their 2 signature wins 2 years ago. This year, they really don't have a signature win. You could say Tulsa, but Tulsa's not very good.
No.
As it turns out, they're horrible, actually. And Tulsa will tell you, hey, we should have won that game. Now, you got a Fresno State team that came out fired up against the Lobos. I got a feeling because of what happened last year, Wyoming is going to be fired up at home against the Lobos this year. Now, at the same time, I don't think that can stop the option. If the Lobos don't pass, they win this game. If they go to this, oh, we're going to pass on Wyoming, they're going to get beat. That's my opinion. Because
not their offense.
Wyoming could not stop the option at all a year ago. In fact, they tried playing it straight up, and they got hammered.
Well,
it was the biggest game of the year for the Lobos last year.
Well, how are the Lobos fed? They're fed by running the ball. That's what they do. The other thing is, I will say that against Air Force, that's somewhat of a signature win. Air Force did beat San Diego State.
Right.
So that's not a bad win against the Air Force, and it seems like Bob Davie has success against the Air Force. But I think you're right there. So again, it's not maybe going into the season. You'd lost some defensive starters. You had a whole new defense, a couple of new offensive linemen. That took them a little time to gel. They had a chance to win this game, and those are the games that make programs better.
Right.
You've been part of moral victories. You've been on the bus with the Lobos when they say, well, you've heard it in professional sports, right? I mean, I've coached games where I felt we should have won, and, well, we only lost. The bottom line is you lost, okay?
Well, I've never heard the team or coaches with moral victories. I've heard fans talk about moral victories in games that I've done, but I've never truly heard anyone on a team saying, oh, yeah, we did well, we'll get them next time. No, usually, unless they get spanked, the team's pretty ticked off if they lose a game that they should have won.
Well, if you remember, too, Fresno State did also beat San Diego State. So those games, again, Fresno State coming in and beating the Lobos 38-0, maybe they were better than we thought all along because they go down and beat San Diego State. But again, what's the path to 6 victories? And we just talked about it. You're right. I think if they run the ball, they should be okay. When they start passing is when they're not a come-from-behind team, although they did have their moments. I really like Tuioti. I really like him a lot. Again, he's going to play. No matter what Lamar Jordan does, he's going to play.
The team is not built for passing, though.
No.
That's the problem. You can bring them in when the other team is preparing for the option, and all of a sudden they pass. That's when you catch them off guard. If he starts the game, hey, guess what? They don't have to worry about the option anymore. They can just go after the quarterback. You saw what happened on the last play of the game. They blitzed, and they sacked the quarterback on the last play of the game.
No, you're still right that Lamar Jordan is still the best option quarterback on that team.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, you're right. So coming in off the bench.
I mean, if they're going to run the option, they need Jordan. Or give Gerhard a chance.
They talked about giving him a chance.
Because that's the one thing that we haven't seen Gerhard the last couple of weeks.
I think Bob Davie wanted to give him.
He might be the best overall quarterback running and passing.
Interesting. Bob Davie wanted to give him a couple of series.
Tuioti is not a runner. He's more of a passer. Jordan's more of a runner, not a passer.
Right.
Gerhard brings you a little more. He's got a stronger arm. Accuracy is probably the biggest question mark with him.
Little combination of both. So I think, like I said, Bob Davie wanted to get him a series. He just wasn't able to do so. So I wonder if they'll do that this week against Wyoming. They might get him a series.
Here's one interesting thing to talk about this game coming up at Wyoming. CBS Sports, Jerry Palm, who I know more for basketball than football, but he puts out a projection for the Bulls. Well, he doesn't have New Mexico in a bowl right now. He's got New Mexico State in the Arizona Bowl against Fresno State. If they keep winning and New Mexico State gets 3 more wins, which they're playing some winnable games now, and they got a big win on the road against Georgia Southern a couple of weeks ago, so they need 3 wins to get to a bowl. But the Lobos are on the outside looking in, and I bring that up because Wyoming is projected to go to the Potato Bowl if they're bowl eligible. Well, maybe that's the bowl that the Lobos are playing for in this game.
You know what? Like I said, any bowl that's you play in, I used to say this and make jokes back in the day. It's a taco bowl. I don't care what bowl it is. They
well,
matter.
You have to wonder if Jeff Symbieta would even be able to do the Lobos again without ramifications from sponsors and ESPN and whatnot.
Well, I think the
I don't know what the rulings on that is.
Right. Locally, the sponsors aren't going to be upset about that. But
no, locally,
what about nationally?
Yeah.
Nationally, you make a good point because ESPN may say, hey, they don't draw. There's not that, so that's a legitimate point.
Let's look at what happened last week in high school football. We'll take a look at the week that was week number 9. Hard to believe that it was already week number 9. We'll look at the schedules here, and we will look at the results. You see Atrisco over Highland, Monzano, the game that you did, Ed, and we'll talk about that in the next segment. Big win over El Dorado. Mayfield over Gadsden. What it means by postponing the second quarter, it was 14-0 at the half. Or before the half, actually. They postponed the game because of lightning Friday night. They moved the game from Mayfield to Gadsden, played the second half on Friday, I think it was, and it was Friday. They ended up finishing that game. The game was a Thursday night game, so they played the game in 2 different venues. Mayfield still shut them out 35-0.
Kind of wonder how many fans were there for the second half of that game at Gadsden, because it's Friday.
It started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
People
by the
still
way.
working. You might have had the student section there, but as far as fans and dads and moms who are still working, you kind of wonder who was there.
Cleveland, a big win over Piedra Vista. La Cueva over San Diego. We'll talk about that game here in just a moment. And then games on Saturday. As you look at the rest of the Friday schedule as well, St. Pius a pounding over Valencia. How about Berlin? They just keep winning, 63-30.
You know what, Berlin is a machine. So I think they've got a big game coming up against Las Lunas in a couple weeks, and that's always a big regional territorial game down there. So that's something to look forward to.
West Mesa, they got back on the winning ways with a goose egg.
Albuquerque High has struggled in their season, without some of the players that they lost last year. And so West Mesa, again, we mentioned they have a big district game coming up against Valley this Friday night. So that's going to be an interesting game as well.
And La Cueva Sandia. It was La Cueva 49, Sandia 13. As you see some of the highlights here, this was the My 50 game of the week. And Dylan Summer, 15 completions, or 15 passes, but he completed 40% of them. And all he did was throw for 212 yards and just 3 quarters of work.
Remember, Dylan Summer was not named the starting quarterback until the day before the season started, and he's really had a heck of a season.
I forgot about that. Yes. It was the day before. Yeah. Yes, it was, and he's come out like gangbusters since, because I say it every year, La Cueva, known for defense. They always play a tough-nosed, hard, bowl you over kind of defense. They weren't known for offense until this year, and now they can really spread the ball out and run and pass with equal efficiency.
It's the second year of former Valley head coach Rico Marcelli's offensive spread there at La Cueva, and I think you're starting to see it pay dividends. Interception there by Sandia.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sandia, they've been struggling, but they're going to get better. Especially going towards next year, they'll get better. But this is a team, they will not roll over and give up.
You know what? I really like them, Scott. Like El Dorado, they kind of lack a few players here and there to compete with the big guys, but they're a very formidable opponent, and you cannot take them lightly. Sandia always competes. Kevin Barker is a heck of a coach here, and the Metro's been doing it for a long time. So you're right. You can't.
And he's been playing a lot of sophomores this year.
That's right. Should be pretty.
So he's got a lot of young guys, and he doesn't overemphasize it, but he'll let you know on occasion, hey, we're young.
Yeah, that's really no excuses made here, and going against La Cuevas and El Dorados and Monzanos in that district. You better grow up quick.
Yeah, but
look at Sandia. Look at the blue and reds. That brings back such memories of their uniform.
Well, a week ago, I did the game. First time I ever saw them play in those unis in person, but I got the turquoise a week ago.
That's right. I forgot about the turquoise.
That was the first time I'd seen it on Proview, obviously, in games that were televised, but I'd never actually done a game with the turquoise until last week.
So a lot of mix and match uniforms there.
There you see the final score, and La Cueva continues to roll.
Since that loss to Monzano, they've got back on their jets, and they're doing well.
We will take a break here, speaking of getting back on our jets, and we will come back after the break, talk more high school football, give you some more highlights. But first, the Dream Style Top 10 Plays of the Week here on the Sports Desk.
Go for El Dorado at the Monzano 8. Smith will roll to his left. Got a receiver open, throws. Let's see if he drug the toe. Touch.
Steele. He's off to the races. Steele is off to the house. Touchdown, Cibola.
He's got some room to the outside. Williams turns the corner. Shot out of a cannon, and he's going to go. Touchdown.
Pass up with the run. Throw it on the quarterback. Keeper in the open daylight 50-45. No one will catch Jordan Bird.
Oh my God.
70-yard touchdown run for the senior, the fastest man in New Mexico.
Sets up a screen. Nice move on the outside. Look out to the 5. Diving in zone.
Yard line. Low snap for Smith. He'll roll right. Draw play. Gallegos has room. Nice move by Resma. Troy 10, 5. Cuts it back at the 5. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown, Manzano.
To his left, 3 receivers to the right. Cedillo end zone. Touchdown, yes! Touchdown!
Look out. Wilkinson makes another cut. He's at the 10. Wilkinson all the way. Dancing into the end zone.
Manzanares might have a returnable play here. He's going to go up the middle. Makes a spin. Oh, that might be a top 10 play too. Look at those moves here. He's Houdini. He gets to the outside. He's got a couple of men to beat. Nathaniel Manzanares breaks to the inside. Now he keeps on going. Finally running out of gas, and he is down at the 17.
Stumbled. Red man Hickam.
Center shot, and that is money. Look at that. That man, 22, Aaron Herrera. What awareness. The flip, 1-0 UNM.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Duke City Sports Bar, proud supporter of Proview Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Carmody Medical provides solutions for your everyday needs. Hot and cold compression wraps provide therapeutic compression for the shoulder, hip, and knee. The therapy wraps are constructed of an insulated outer fabric and a ventilated cotton pocket to protect the body. Elastic belts allow mobility and deliver a gentle, adjustable compression. The reusable therapy packs can be removed from the pouch and placed into the freezer. Contact Jim for more information.
VR Junkies is a virtual reality arcade. We specialize in all things VR, from the simple phone-based headsets to cutting-edge full-body motion systems. Check us out at the Coronado Mall. VR Junkies.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa auto parts. Like brakes, and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service.
And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time.
Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Iowani, our fine director, doing a great job as always. Time now to look at some more highlights here. We're going to look at the game, Manzano and El Dorado, a game you're very familiar with. I got a chance to go and see it in person for a little bit as well. Big win for Manzano, 63-21, but the score's kind of deceiving, Ed, because it was a much closer game before halftime while it was raining.
It was 21-14 at the half. And Manzano got the ball back, received the third half kickoff, or the third quarter kickoff, and scored 2 scores in a row, and really that was it. But I got to say this, and there's some highlights. There's the Xavier Ivy Sod at 4 touchdowns. There's one of them right there, and 175 yards. We mentioned clock killing back, and one thing Chad Adcock said before the game, he doesn't have breakaway speed, and that's true. But between the tackles, this guy bruises you up, and then we look at the move here by Erickson. That was a beautiful move there, blocked on the outside by Dakota Powell inside the 5-yard line down to the 3. And so Manzano's offense, and there's Ivy Sod for two of his 4 touchdowns there. So that's just a machine offensively. And I think this is one of the touchdowns from Colin Bars.
This is Colin Bars, yes. Obviously, and that's the kind of play that they normally run, but Manzano got onto that after this.
Right, they sure did, and they couldn't go to that. And I love this play here. This is Erickson on a jet sweep, escorted by Keon Pringle and Xavier Ivy Sod. So Keon Pringle has not been on the field much.
I meant to talk to you about him because you were calling his name a lot this game, and you've been itching to call his name and talking about him since preseason.
Right, and you know what? Chad Adcox did a good job of getting him on the field. He mentioned there's another touchdown there from I think that's Colin Bars again. And the guy that didn't catch many passes that night for El Dorado was Javian Chavez.
Right.
1 catch the whole night. And he usually gets about 3 or 4 at least.
At least, yeah. Absolutely.
There's Bird, forget that. He's gone for, see, look at that. Nobody's even close. They stopped chasing him. And one thing that I mentioned to Roger Holian, and I talked to you about as well, is on the quarterback read. He does such a good job with it and holding it to the last second. And then he'll take his chances and go off around left end and score when he can.
I normally don't get a chance to talk to the press box guys during a game, and they were really impressed with that Jordan Bird run.
Oh, gosh. Again, and there's another touchdown. I think that's Richard Gallegos. That was on the delayed draw, 25-yard run by Richard Gallegos. So, but, I think we talked about, too, the domination of the Manzano offensive line and defensive line. We got to give them credit as well. They performed. That was at halftime there. And I think they brought them back. They were leaving for half, and they did. And Alden Iowani was there along with his brother Aaron on camera. Big moment for the Iowani brothers. So, yeah, and they scored here, I think, at the end of the first half. So, yes, the big return, I think that's Colin Bars.
Yeah, they called it back because of that block. And it's really hard to tell if that block was a block, but I guess the rule, because they were talking about it in the booth, the rule, I guess you have to give the opponent room to kind of turn.
Right.
And
look at the blocking out there, Dakota Powell, and there's Erickson off for another jet sweep touchdown. But I thought the blocking in front of him was just excellent. And there's Xavier Ivy Sod again for another score. Lumbering back, doesn't have that speed that former Lobo and Manzano star Rodney Ferguson had, but he's still a load, man. He really is.
Yeah.
His 4th touchdown of the night.
Yeah, pretty impressive. When he gets the ball, he can make a lot of things happen.
Coach Dotson went to his second stringers, and one of the quarterbacks threw a pick 6 there and really opened the floodgates open then. I think that was the last score of the game from the Monarchs, and that made it 63-21.
Yeah, Ezekiel Fox, 40 yards on that one. So even he gets in there. Let's go. Let's see if we can go back to that real quick. 525 yards to 182. That's what I wanted to point out, Roger. 509 on the ground.
Right. So if you look at it, 16 yards passing, they barely took the ball.
And they've been balanced this year. They didn't need to on this game.
The new play that I saw, or maybe it's not new, but Erickson on that jet sweep, that's going to be a very tough play to stop. Ivy Sod between the tackles, Bird when he has a chance. One thing I'm going to say about Jordan Bird, Scott, he doesn't hog the ball. In other words, he doesn't say, well, I got to get my carries and I want to make sure that I get 5 or 10 carries. He's very unselfish and he handles the ball very well in this offense. So I was talking to Roger Holian about it. With all these weapons that you have, and Alejandro Vallejos wasn't even out there. So maybe that's why Keon Pringle was on the field so much.
Right.
So all these weapons, and I don't know how you stop these guys. I really don't.
Let's look now at the Cibola Volcano Vista game. This was an outstanding game. Cibola improves to 2-7, 1-2 in District 1. Volcano Vista falls to 5-3 and 0-2. Volcano with the edge in the total offense, but man, I'll tell you what, when Cibola needed a big play, they came up with it in this game. Marcus Steele, before he got hurt, 91 yards passing, 131 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns overall, and Nathaniel Manzanares, 5 receptions, 34 yards, including the game winner. But one of the things that we'll see here, he was huge in special teams, both punt and kickoff returns.
I love Manzanares. I think he's one of their best players without a doubt.
Best player on the field in this game, though, was Moses Young, as he had himself a big time game. 4 touchdowns overall.
Well, you can't miss those pink numerals, Scott. And
no, you can't, can you?
No way, yeah.
I was wondering what you were going to say about that, as this was a big pass over the middle for a score for the Cibola Cougars as they were trying to keep pace, and this was one of those back and forth games in terms of who scored and who answered. As once again, Moses Young just broke to the outside, and Cibola really didn't have an answer until the end of the game when Moses, actually a play that we're not going to show you, he broke for about a 50-yard run and then he cramped up, fell to the ground. Man. He was off on the field for about a good 10-15 minutes before they finally helped him up, and he ended up coming back and scoring a touchdown, but didn't want to show that play even though he broke off another outstanding run.
There's Manzanares, and man, we did those kind of moves there. Look at that. Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Roger Holian came up with the line of the night. He called him Crazy Legs Manzanares.
Yeah, gosh.
And then he just finally ran out of gas.
Moves like that, Dancing with the Stars will be calling soon, believe me.
Well, he had another one on a kickoff where he was like doing little stutter step moves and juke moves and everything. But, due to time constraints, we're not going to show it to you. But here was a big run for the Volcano Vista Hawks as it was down inside the 10-yard line, and they would end up scoring again. And once again, it was Mr. Young as he went to the end zone, and then he would come back for an encore and get the 2-point conversion. As almost looks like the same play here.
Moses Young is a good running back. He really is.
But it was quite a night in terms of action. We had pink smoke from the Volcano Vista fans again, and this was a nice run by Steele for 41 yards and a score. And Marcus Steele
almost caught from behind, but just gets into the end zone. He's a junior, and I like that kid.
Yeah, he's a heady player. This is the touchdown after Moses Young was out for about 4 plays.
Okay, they got the edge there in a 1-yard run.
So the good news was that he was back in the game. You could tell that he wasn't his quick self. This is a big pick that went the other way for Cibola, and that would lead to a couple of big plays. This is before Steele got hurt, as he would get to the edge and come up with a big gain to get it inside the 20-yard line, and Cibola was on the move. And how about the backup quarterback, Evan Cedillo, coming up with Manzanares,
oh, man,
coming up with the catch of the night.
Wow. Oh, look at him.
Yeah, he had himself a heck of a game. But,
I really like that guy.
But Roger calling him Crazy Legs Manzanares, and this is the point after, and this is Preston Denard. We normally don't show PATs, but this broke the tie. You see Siebel in jubilation, a minute 22 to play. They went up 28-27, and they would come up with the big victory, 28-27.
And I'll tell you what, that's 2 big victories for Siebel against El Dorado earlier in the year. And then remember, Marcus Steele went out, and they had to go to their senior backup quarterback. I think that's what happened in this game here.
Right.
And they still pulled it out. Rod Williams, Siebel head coach Rod Williams, is a very proud man, So the Cougars pull it out.
Blaine Grant was the man that you saw break that other big run. He didn't quite get into the end zone, but he had 76 yards.
Wow, 1 carry for 76.
On 1 carry, so it was an outstanding game. So we'll take a break here, and we will come right back with more on the Sports Desk.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Hoops NM Basketball Center is coming soon. 10 full courts broken into 2 wings for ultimate basketball and volleyball play. Locker rooms, a lounge area, a pro shop, and a full snack bar will all be a part of a great experience. Convenient parking and access will make the Hoops NM Basketball Center a premier facility for league play and competitive regional tournaments. With over 9,000 square feet, Hoops NM Basketball Center will take court sports play to another level in our community. Courts are regulation high school size with wood floors and seating for approximately 350 per court. Major sponsors and supporters are being assembled now. If you're interested, contact Dan Serrano at 505-249-7994. Send him an email, hoopsnm@aol.com. That's hoopsnm@aol.com. Hoops NM Basketball Center, a premier sports facility serving our community.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with Proview Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of Proview Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
And we're back here on the Sports Desk. Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez with Alden Iowani, our fine director. Steve Davis will join us in the final segment of the show as we get you ready for what's coming up this coming week. But back to the game that I did with Roger Holian last week where we had Crazy Legs Manzanares. One of the things that we didn't show you that Alden Iowani, we talked about this before the game because they did this last year on the Think Pink game. Ironically, coincidentally, maybe not, between these two same teams. This is what the Volcano Vista fans were doing. That's what the Cibola fans were doing. They were throwing gold confetti while you had smoke on the other side, and they did the same thing on the opposite sides last year, but it was kind of cool.
You know what? Kids' innovativeness and creativity never ceases to amaze me. Even where I work at, I got a lot of young people that are just so creative and innovative, and they make me laugh. They really do.
And they did it after the first touchdown.
I love it.
So
I love
it was
it.
pretty
That's
cool.
a way to honor Breast Cancer Week, and they got their own way to do it.
Yep.
Pink smoke, pink numerals, pink socks, pink wristbands. What else you want? I love it.
Yeah, and they broke out the pink uniforms, which kind of got mixed reviews because those uniforms ain't cheap.
Heck no, they're not. Well, it's funny because back in the day, as men, wearing pink was, not as it looked down upon. Now it's kosher, man. It's kosher. You see it all the time.
Well, also back in the day, you had a home uniform and you had a away uniform, and if you ripped it, you had to fix it.
Jim Ottman and I were talking about that, and that's right. When I played for Highland, it was home white, dark blue, and that was it. Now you might have 3 or 4 uniforms. That's what I would say about Cleveland. You've got the blues, you got the blacks, you got the whites. You've got 30 coaches. Your coaches are dressed out in sweats. Who would want to play there? I mean, Lightning Bolt Stadium, the cannon going off, Gary Chavez, first down, storm. I mean, come on, man. The whole ambiance is there.
Wally Salata with the ambiance over at Rio Rancho.
I love
pretty
Wally.
good
Now
too.
Wally makes me, when I see Wally, I'll say, "Wall, come on, man," and we'll laugh because Wally and I've been friends for 30 years. But he puts in. So does Austin Denton this week, working the PA for YFL. He puts some emphasis on first down as well. So yeah, we got some great PA announcers. Yeah, no doubt.
So let's look now at the coaches polls here. We'll start with 3A on the coaches poll, and not a whole lot of movement here as you look at Eunice at the top. They're 9-0 now. Capitan, Santa Rosa, Dexter, and Estancia round out the top 5. Let's go to 4A now. 4A, very exciting. You got St. Mike's, Moriarty, Portales, Robertson, and West Las Vegas.
Look at that, St. Mike's and Moriarty right there at the top. Look at that. Okay, so Robertson and West, and I saw a post from Richard Tripp. They play Saturday at 2. And so there's going to be some movement in the top 5 there. And they had to move the game from 2 to 5, or it was going to be at 5, now it's at 2 because of ACT testing, according to West Las Vegas and Proview colleague Richard Tripp. So that town there, man, who turns out for that game between the Cardinals and the Dons? Just the whole town.
Just the whole town, yeah. Let's go to 5A now. 5A, still exciting. You got Artesia 6-2 at the top. Belen 8-0. Miyamura 8-0. Las Lunas 6-2.
Interesting. You got 2 undefeated teams at 2-3, sandwiched between 2 6-2 teams, sandwiched at first and number 1 and 4. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, the team at the top could probably be number 3 in 6A.
Easy. Taylor Knoll is having Artesia quarterback Taylor Knoll is having just a very special season, and that we already know how good he is. We know what a special player he is.
Speaking of 6A, let's go to 6A right now. We'll take a look and see Manzano still on top, and La Cueva still getting the love from the polls as they're still number 2, even though they lost. to Monsanto. A lot of times you'll see the number 2 team drop all the way to number 4 or 5. Just look at 4A. Robertson lost, and they dropped all the way from number 1 to number 4.
Well, you could argue, and Cleveland could say, look, we've been playing some great football since we lost to La Cueva. We've reeled off 5, and they have, maybe 6. But they'll say, well, you lost to La Cueva. That was your defeat, so that's why you're behind them. So I'm really impressed with the way the Storm has been playing since they lost. We mentioned that loss to La Cueva. So if you look at it, Monsanto, and I'm going to tell you this right now, that I don't see any team stopping them. I don't. Defensively, you have to you take care of the gaps, the edges. There's too many weapons they have. And the other thing is this, their offensive line and their defensive lines dominate the line of scrimmage. That's really important. I'd be very surprised the team that kind of is a wild card and all that is number 4 Las Cruces. They've got the players. Their offensive and defensive fronts are pretty solid too. They think down south that they're still better than the north in football. They've always thought that. So maybe it can be Las Cruces, but I don't see anybody beating the Monarchs. I don't right now.
Let's roll through the standings now. We'll start with District 1 in 4A, and you got Shiprock at 1-0 along with Navajo Prep.
That's been a district that's been up and down all year long, and gosh, it's kind of strange to see they've only played a couple of one district game each, so still a lot to be decided in that district.
Let's go to District 2 now, and it also means that nobody has a bye going here on out, and you got West Las Vegas at 4-0 along with St. Mike's, Robertson falling to 3-1 in District 2.
That's why that game Saturday looms large. West 4-0, 6-2, Robertson 3-1 and 7-1, so they could shake things up by beating the Dons on Saturday.
District 3 now, and we will take a look at this in Hatch Valley, along with Silver 2-0, Socorro 2-1.
Interesting that the only winning record is Hot Springs, but they're 0-3 in district. Interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of weird about that, as they came in a ball of fire and they're 0 in their district. Let's go to District 4 now in 4A, and you got Portales and Moriarty 2-0, Ruidoso 2-1, the rest 0.
Yeah, so Portales, we mentioned. Look at Portales and Moriarty. That's going to be a good game down the way. You know it is.
5A now. We'll take a look at them. And 5A, District 1, Miyamura continues to impress. They're 3-0. How about Farmington? They're 5-3, but they're 3-0 in district.
Miyamura, we said this. Okay, they came in here and beat Pius a couple of weeks ago, and we'd expected the Patriots to up and down. Not this year. Look at them, 3-0 and 8-0.
Yeah,
Pretty
I think
impressive.
they've learned, because past couple of years they've been 3, 4, 5-0, and then they struggled in district.
Bam, yeah.
Yeah, but not this year. So they're 8-0 with 2 more games to try to run the table in regular season. Let's move ahead to District 2 now, and in District 2 you've got Capital at 2-0. How about Del Norte? They're 3-6, but they're 2-1 in district.
Coach Binkley he still has them hanging around, man. I'm laughing because he always seems to have them right there. It was the same way last year. They made the playoffs. They kind of crawled in there, and Coach Binkley still has them in contention.
Well, they play a tough non-district schedule if you think about it.
Always do.
And that helps them for this district.
I think so too.
So don't close your eyes on them. District 3 now. We'll move forward. District 3 has Chaparral at 1-0 along with Deming. And Chaparral 6-2, Deming 4-4.
Still a lot of football to be decided in that district as well.
District 4 in 5A, and you got Artesia at the top, Lovington 1-0. You got Roswell and Goddard, and everybody there 500 or better.
And gosh, the top of the team you mentioned is when you mentioned Artesia, 29 state championships, I believe, or 28. And so when you mention that name, it's like the Hobbs effect in basketball. People start shuddering. Like, oh my goodness,
right.
We have to go to Bulldog Bowl. We don't want that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's go to District 5 to round out 5A. And you got Berlin at the top along with Los Lunas. St. Pius, they're lingering around at 1-1 and 5-3, and they meet each other this week.
That's going to be a good game. So Berlin and Los Lunas right there at the top. Berlin is playing some excellent football, Scott. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, how about Berlin? St. Pius and Los Lunas back-to-back weeks to close out the season.
Man, what more do you want?
Well, I don't know if they want that, but that's what they got.
That's right.
That's what they got.
Man.
Let's go to District 1 and 6A, and you've got Cleveland 3-0. They're 8-1. Rio Rancho still with a stake at least second place. They're 1-1. Piedra Vista hanging around at 1-1, but they're 4-4 overall. Then you got Cibola and Volcano.
right now, still the class of that district is the Cleveland Storm. And you look at the Cibola Cougars, they can be a spoiler. They already beat Volcano Vista, and that that was a painful loss for the Hawks. It really was. They probably expected. Well, they're 5-3 overall. It's not as if they're 7-3 or whatever, but still, I think that's a game they expected to win. That's a real West Side
rivalry. And they played
rivalry.
well enough to win, too.
Right.
That makes it hurt even more. It wasn't like they played a down game. They put their hearts out, and they ended up just falling one extra point short.
I think Cibola, and again, it's early, and we still have the season to play, but next year they have a lot of returning underclassmen that should be pretty good.
District 2 now in 6A has Manzano at the top. El Dorado is 2-1. La Cueva trying to go 2-1 as they face off against each other. Sandia and Clovis 0-2.
That's been a tough district all year. If you look at Cal Fullerton, Clovis head coach Cal Fullerton, Scott, he's been in some games, man. That 0-2 district record. He's, Kevin Barker, we mentioned him. Charlie Dotson said he had 7 defensive starters out last Thursday, which definitely hurt the Eagles. But I'm going to say this. I don't know that any defensive starters that would have made a difference. I don't know, you would have stopped them on some plays. They probably are still going to beat El Dorado. I think they have a little bit more talent. But again, that's a district that when you know what they used to call the NFC Central back in the day, the black and blue division? That's what that division is right there.
That's a great analogy. That's exactly what this is. Wow, that pulling out the black and blue.
Remember
that's
that?
pretty good. Yeah, I do remember that. Yes, sir. Let's go to District 3, and Las Cruces still with the upper hand in this one, but Hobbs at 3-1, they're hanging around.
Steve Davis is real high on Hobbs. They played very well all year long.
A lot of people are high on Hobbs. I know Steve is very high on Hobbs, but he's not the only one.
And an unusual overall 2-6 record for the Mayfield Trojans, although they did beat Gadsden in that lightning-delayed game on Saturday. But usually Coach Michael Bradley has them right in contention, but he mentioned that to Roger Holian and I before the season. Numbers are down there.
Yeah, but look at this. If they keep winning, they can play Las Cruces, and it would be for the district championship.
Still within striking distance and still might have 20,000 in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, well, I don't think might.
Yeah, I always do, right?
I think these teams could be 0-10, and they would get 20,000.
Right. That's right.
That's how big that rivalry is. Let's go to District 4 to close out this segment here. And you got a Trisco playing very impressive. Patrick Johnson really gets his team. Talk about a tough non-league schedule, non-district schedule. He always gets his team ready. His team is 3-0 in district. Valley 2-1. West Mesa 2-1.
That's why I'm saying Valley and West Mesa Friday night at Milne. Judge Chavez, again.
There's a little bit on the line there.
Just a little. And,
just a little.
Judge Chavez and Ron McMath from West Mesa, both veteran coaches here in the Metro. And again, West Mesa always seems to, again, we've mentioned, they beat some opponents they should beat, but the ones that maybe that put them over the top, they always seem to have trouble. The Valley and West Mesa very evenly matched Friday night.
So, in closing, Ed, as I know you're going to be hitting the road here in a second, your thoughts just on what's going on?
Again, Scott, it's just hard to believe that it's been week 9, I believe. It's very hard to believe. It seems like it's just flown by. And, again, it's been a pleasure and honor to cover the games, even the Yaffle games that we covered this weekend. I covered the Pee Wee and the rookie division. And those kids are so funny when they win and the way they celebrate. Oh, my goodness, Roger Holian says that, too, that the helmets sometimes are bigger than they are. But their hearts, man, the way they compete and the way they skip off the field. And there's nothing like youthful exuberance and enthusiasm. There's no substitution for it. So I sure had a lot of fun covering those games this weekend.
He's Ed Nunez. I'm Scott Coletti. We'll take a break. We'll bring in Steve Davis to close out the show here on the Sports Desk.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, life change will occur.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf dart tag games from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting 2 teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Duke City Sports Bar. Proud supporter of Proview Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Carmody Medical provides solutions for your everyday needs. Hot and cold compression wraps provide therapeutic compression for the shoulder, hip, and knee. The therapy wraps are constructed of an insulated outer fabric and a ventilated cotton pocket to protect the body. Elastic belts allow mobility and deliver a gentle, adjustable compression. The reusable therapy packs can be removed from the pouch and placed into the freezer. Contact Jim for more information.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
And welcome back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti. We bring in Steve Davis. And Steve, we got a short segment here, so we'll roll through a lot of stuff. But your thoughts on Yaffle finishing up this weekend?
Well, it was just another great weekend. You know, the weather was great. Couldn't have better weather. The fans was awesome, and the scores were, you know, there was pretty competitive scores, and you know what Bill Blair and the whole organization does for youth football, and I want to thank Kenny Breris and APS for letting them have that facility.
Right.
And Kenny Breris sees the value of what, see, people, one thing Kenny Breris does a great job of is sees the value of what people bring to the thing. So he makes things happen behind the scenes that a lot of time he doesn't get credit for. So I'm giving him some good, Yaffle and the Super Bowl wouldn't be as successful if they didn't have Kenny Breris supporting
the man
them.
is so passionate about what he does.
So with that, and then I was, they're, a little different format. Every year they seem to put a little format. They had Pee-wees, and we're putting those on Comcast, I think, they've already the day after or whatever, so we could only only have one set up and only have one channel. And it was neat to see the enthusiasm that weekend brought.
Yeah, I'm sure it brought a lot of enthusiasm. Speaking of enthusiasm, let's get into what's coming up this week. We'll start with the football schedule. We have a couple of slides to show you here on the Week 10. Hard to believe it's already Week 10, Steve. And you got Atrisco Rio Grande on Thursday, some good games on Friday, Cibola Rio Rancho, El Dorado La Cueva. That's the My 50 game of the week, the El Dorado La Cueva game. You got Los Lunas Valencia, Sandia Clovis, St. Pius at Belen. That's a big one.
I tell you, that St. Pius Berlin, I look at that, and that game, has a lot to do with the district. Okay, I mean, it's a big district. Of that district, that's one of the biggest district games. And then, the Cibola, is Cibola on a roll right now? I mean, they win against Volcano Vista, and they pull another upset against Rio Rancho at Rio Rancho.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because of the Rio Rancho offense, but who knows? Anything can happen.
Well, I mean,
here.
if you really, you put it on. Hey, I got all of Proview Networks, all those guys saying that Volcano Vista was going to win the other night. Well, guess what? I don't think anybody picked Cibola. Okay?
And I was one of those that actually thought that Volcano was going to win also, and I was wrong.
I got credibility.
Absolutely.
But I did talk with Coach Howes, and he wants. He's 5-2, I believe, or 6-2, and going into the last 2 games, and he's out to prove that he can go get another championship.
Yeah, he sure is. Let's go now to the rest of the action coming up this week. You got other games on Friday. West Mesa Valley. How about that for district?
Well, it's huge for West Mesa, really, and Valley. They're playing for the 12th spot.
Right.
Depending on what happens, with Pedro Vista and Centennial over the last 2 weeks, this is a really huge, bigger game than people really know. Plus, it's a rivalry game.
Let's roll through some brackets now. In girls soccer, you got District 1 4A, or Class 1 4A, I should say, and there you see it right there, saying Santa Fe Prep. They're the #1 seed, Steve.
Well, I don't have a lot of comment. It's just great to see that this happening. We talked about the football. Guess what? The soccer league just snuck up on me.
5A girls, we got to do this manually as it changed. It was Academy #1, Aztec #2, St. Pius 3rd, Farmington 4th, Alamogordo #5, Los Alamos #6, Los Lunas 7, Roswell 8, Artesia 9, Bluefield 10, Grants 11, and Valencia 12. Let's go to 6A.
So just forget that bracket that's up there, I guess.
Yeah, so I was giving that to you. 6A, you got La Cueva, the #1 seed. And how about them? They've been on a roll forever. It seems like.
Well, that's just, that goes back, to Larry Waters and the program he built for the boys and women's program there, and it's great to see the legacy go on.
In Cleveland #2, that's a fine program as well. Let's roll along to boys now. 1-4A on the boys side, and you got Hope Christian. They are the #1 seed. Sandia Prep, their rival, #2.
Sandia Prep and Hope, they're in the same district. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting to see who comes out on top.
It sure is. Boys soccer 5A, and in 5A you got Academy, a very, very prolific and strong program. Alamogordo is #2, and then in 6A we've got Albuquerque High and La Cueva. They've seen each other before in the past.
And there's a lot of people think that La Cueva should be #1. Well, guess what? They get to prove it. So.
Right. Absolutely. Let's take a quick look at the volleyball polls. Final week here. Sandia Prep still #1 in 4A. Portales, Robertson, St. Mike's, and Moriarty round that out. Let's go to 5A now. You got St. Pius, Los Lunas, Artesia, Santa Teresa, and Farmington. And in 6A, you've got La Cueva, followed by Centennial, Sandia, Cleveland, and El Dorado. Those playoffs are going to be coming up. Championship week is going to be coming up at the Star Center. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we have the volleyball selection and seating show next week, so we'll have verification of time on the next sports desk.
Yep, so that's always fun. Got about a little more over a minute, Steve, to round things out. What would you like to talk about?
Well, again, I think we've already touched on it. Great season for Yaffle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, registration for AYBL. It's basketball season now. Turn your jerseys in. Get
your basketball jersey now.
Get your basketball jersey in,
right,
and get that done, and then. Support these athletes. These guys. This is an exciting year. Manzano, Chad Adcox is probably the team to beat. But La Cueva, 2 Metro teams are 1 and 2, and that, that's been a long time that's happened, or if it's happened. So. So there's just, it's exciting. These things, and then, you got soccer coming up. You got soccer game. You're going to have a soccer tournament coming up. You got volleyball coming up. We got 6A, 2A. I mean, this is all happening in the next 3 weeks. And plus, let's don't forget about our Lobo volleyball and also soccer that we're doing this week. So a lot of things to watch on Proview Networks and Comcast Channel 26.
He's Steve Davis. Our thanks to Ed Nunez. Thanks to Alden Iowani and the crew here today for doing a great job as always. Until next week, when we will be giving you the volleyball brackets, I'm Scott Galletti from the Sports Desk.